All right, we're back for video number 2. Kyle promises to look a little more alive today.
I'm awake.
That was our bad day. Remember that?
It was rough.
That was a bad day. Okay, anyway, we are back, and on Fridays we want to talk a little bit just more about our personal life, not as much fitness and nutrition. I mean, that is our personal life, but kind of just, I don't know, other topics that are interesting. So, the winner of our poll was dating with a kid, and that's funny because we've talked about this with a lot of people, and I'm like, we might as well just share the whole story. We do want to say that we think everybody's situation is different, and as we talked about it, like, we wanted to make sure you guys know, like, this isn't going to work for everybody, but this is our experience, and worked out for us, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it started, man, I don't know how long we've been together. A while. Oh, like 5 years?
5. It was
Almost 5, I think.
It was
years.
like December of 2014.
Okay, so that's whenever that was. We, you know, I had a baby already. He was 1.5 when we started dating. So he just magically appeared, so we'll just start there. Then Kyle and I have been friends, kind of-ish, for a couple years before that. We went to different colleges, but we had the same group of mutual friends, so we knew each other, but you were friend-zoned, right?
Friend-zoned hard.
So it all started after I had a college graduation party type thing out at a bar, because I finally made it through college. 10 years after everybody else, I feel like.
Only a few years later.
And then we ended up having a great phone call after the bar.
Classic, infamous phone call.
You want to give them a summary of that?
Everyone learned that, or she learned that I was an Eagle Scout. Thanks, Josh. I think at one point you asked some guy, or Mel might have asked some guy on the street for advice on the phone call that was going on.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
you got mad at me for something and said you were going to shave all your hair off?
Yeah,
And it was
that was a threat at the time.
It was a threat. It was. But that was pretty much the beginning of our love story. So, I mean, now looking back, I don't think it could have started any other way than a nice drunken phone call.
Yeah.
It worked out great. So anyway, after that, we started, I guess we'll just skip to we started dating, right?
Well, the first date.
Okay, yeah, our first date. Was that when you took me to Rosewood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our first date, we kind of decided it was more like an interview. We were going to see if this was something we wanted to do, because we knew each other. Crossing the friend zone to relationship barrier.
I still don't know how it happened, because that's impossible.
It's impossible. It was a miracle. Kyle was so happy that it happened, but, oh yeah, so am I guess.
Cool.
So we went on our first date, and it was very, I would say, awkward. Do you think?
I don't know if awkward's the right word. It was just...
It's awkward.
There's a better word for it. Because I don't feel like it was awkward, I think is bad. Or not bad, but I see it as negative. But I don't think it was negative. It was just like...
Weird.
I specifically said, I remember saying, I don't know. I don't know
what's happening here.
Like when we talked specifically about, Vince, like.
All right, yeah, let's get to that. So we just went to dinner. It was fine. Towards the end of it, I don't think I necessarily even asked for an answer, but
I think you specifically said you don't have to know now.
Yeah, but I just wanted to feel this out, because when you're dating with a kid, you have to obviously consider who you're dating and how that's going to affect your child. Now, I think because he was only 1.5, it wasn't as stressful because he didn't know anything. Like, he had seen you and met you, but, he didn't know. He's a baby, Right. So, I mean, I don't even think he knew anybody outside of my family and, very close friends, a.k.a. his baby daddy, my best friend Amy. I don't think he knew anybody else besides that. So you coming over or seeing you out or whatever, it was just, I mean, he's a baby.
Person,
you
right.
Imagine a 1.5-year-old. They don't care about anything, people-wise, But I did want to say, obviously I have this baby, so I need to make sure
I was shocked.
make sure you're aware of this guy I'm carrying around here. You've met him before, but that's real, and at the time, first date, you're not going to say, like, oh, yeah, I'm ready to be a stepdad or whatever, and let's get married. It was kind of just like, okay, so, like, do you still like me as outside of the friend zone? And remember about this baby. And, your response was...
I literally had no idea how to feel about it.
I think you were just still a little psyched that you even were on a date with me.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. So, after the first date, we went to a Christmas party, right?
Yeah, that was, I gotta give you credit for coming to that with me. That was a bunch of old people that you didn't know. And I gotta also, Steve was a great wingman that night.
Okay, you gotta tell me who Steve is.
Kind of my boss, kind of...
Like
mentor.
Yeah, coworker, mentor, a little higher above you, but an old man who likes beer.
Who likes beer.
And who loves talking about beer.
And just talking in general.
Yeah. So I was stranded in a garage at a Christmas party with Steve for a solid 15 minutes. And he was a little drunk, I'm not gonna lie, talking to me about these all kinds of beers and traveling to go get them and try this one, and I'm like, didn't you just drink out of that one? Like, I'm not trying that. But I think
Steve will do that.
Yep. So I was like, all right, that was fun. But he actually did get me a little drunk too, because he's like, here's all these beers you want to try. I brought this special one from Belgium, or I don't know what was happening, but I'm like, okay. So after that, it was kind of cool to see you in like your work environment, and I think that's what was really attractive, because it's like, oh, he's like a grown-up with a job, and here I am just graduating college, but who knows, I was chaos, I still am, but that was cool. And one thing I loved was that, I don't know, when you're dating with a kid and you're the mom, it's like, where do you tell people, like, yeah, I have a kid, but I feel like they knew, and it was just like everybody just always knew. So it wasn't like, this is my girlfriend, and over there's her little kid, It was very, I don't know, not weird. I don't know. And if you are a single parent and you know that, it's like, does everybody know I have a kid here? Like, are they judging me or whatever? And that's kind of stressful. But for me, it was kind of just like, oh, there she is with her kid, and that's normal. And that felt good. And you always made me feel like that. So, okay, so skipping ahead, we started like officially dating in January of 2015. We didn't go on many dates because I didn't have babysitters. Like, that's another struggle with being a single parent, is I actually lived with one of my parents for most of the beginning of my son's life. So I had my mom to help me, and then I lived with my dad, and he would watch him occasionally. And then my younger sister, when she was home from college, was my go-to babysitter, because she just really usually never had plans, or she would at least... She loved Kyle, so I'll babysit if you're going out with Kyle, so like that's fine. So I think when she was home, I mean, we went on maybe 2 or 3 dates, and then she was gone. And it was like, now what? Because I can't constantly be like going out on dates. I'm a mom, So you can talk a little bit about how we just didn't date, but we were dating. You know what I mean?
Kinda. Yeah, I mean, like, the dates what ended up being, oh, he's, okay, just put him to bed, let's watch a movie. It was like, but not even Netflix and chill. It was like, hey, there's a Disney movie in the DVD player, let's watch that.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of we just hung out at your dad's house. And I think there's a lot of times we just, like, we always had people over at the apartment, whatever apartment we were at that time. I don't think I had moved yet. So we just, between our different houses, we would kind of just hang out and watch TV.
A lot of TV watching. Maybe
and
that's why we got fat.
A lot of eating.
That's why we got fat.
I would just bring Chipotle over, or pizza,
Swensen's,
or Swenson. It was
milkshakes all the time. I think that's how you won Vince over, because you would just show up with milkshakes.
You know what I did? And I hate going to Swenson's, and I did it all the time.
You would do it for us. Yes, that was good. So, yeah, so then it kind of just became hanging out, like, when he was asleep. Because I feel like it's a fine line between having your kid around and, like, introducing your kid versus, like, how do you not have your kid around, you know? So that was a lot for us. That worked a lot. Putting him to bed and then hanging out. And, I mean, he was still very young, so, like, if he woke up, it's not like, who are you? It was just, I would go in there and settle him back down, and he probably didn't even know you were there. So I think that was good for us. So, I mean, most of our advice or story is dating with a younger kid. We have talked about, like, what do you do if your kid was 6? Like, he's 6 now. What if I started dating now? Like, that would be so much more difficult, I feel like. And I don't know how people do that exactly, but the main, I don't know, piece of advice that we have is just communication. Like, your kid is not an idiot. They're going to understand this is somebody in your life. That doesn't mean they're going to automatically be like, that's my dad. Like, kids are not...
Yeah, like some kids.
Like Vince?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we can get to that in a minute. But, like, they know. Like, it's okay to say you're dating. It's okay to say, like, this is my friend. We're just hanging out. Like, you don't just force the person on your kid and say, like, this is your dad and he's sticking around and, oh, just kidding, we broke up. Like, just communicate and be normal and obviously protect your kid. I don't think it's very healthy to be bringing people in and out and being like, here, get attached and see you later. And, like, you'll figure out what works for you, but just remember, I think communication, there's not stupid.
That's always the biggest thing. Communicate
for
with the
any
kid. Well, yeah. And with whoever you're dating. I mean, I think that was big for us, is he never really pushed it on me. It was just, like, slowly, like, the hanging out at night, slowly I'd come over earlier and Vince would still be up. Yeah. And then, you know, we'd hang out for a little bit where he'd play blocks or something.
Yeah.
But, and I think taking it slow worked in that situation. But that's the thing, it's, if it was a different age, I have no idea how it would work.
Right, I know. Yeah, so I guess you can leave comments and tell us what you did if you were a single parent dating with an older kid, because I'm curious. I don't know what you would do, especially if you don't live with your parents. Like, that was a huge thing for me, is that I lived with my parents, so that when he was asleep, I could leave and I wasn't leaving him home alone. Like, I would just, here's the baby monitor, I'll be back in a couple hours. How do you do it if you live on your own? You have to be constantly getting a babysitter, and no babysitter's coming over at 8 o'clock and wanting to stay till like 1 in the morning, which is like the prime single parent freedom time, you know? Like, I don't know. So definitely leave us some comments. But back to Kyle saying that Vince thinks he was his dad. Well, when he was that little, he couldn't say Kyle. I don't know what happened, but he automatically, just first time I said, like, I think when I first, like, realized, okay, you're sticking around, he needs to know who you are, let's introduce you guys and, like, create this relationship. I'm like, this is Kyle. And he says, Dad.
It's like 2 weeks in.
And I'm like, I literally called my sister. I'm like, no, Vince is calling Kyle Dad. I don't know what to do. Like, he can't. I say Kyle. He says Dad. And
it was just like that. Like, yeah. He would, and then it got to the point where he thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, because we would freak out, like, no, it's Kyle. And that probably didn't help. And it was funny. And I was like, I swear, I did not tell him to say that or teach him that or anything. This is pure child coming out right now. So that was funny. And I mean, even, I think it was his second birthday party. You were around. Everybody, we were dating. That was Brad's birthday party. But anyway, I said, say Kyle, this is Kyle. And no, it was just like, Dada, that's Dada. I'm like, okay, well, and then you were
worked out.
You were probably like, what the hell? But you didn't act like that. You were just like, it is what it is. And that's what I said. I'm like, what do we do? He just is doing this. So sorry, like, you can accept it or we can scare you away and you can leave. So those are your options. But you were like, that's fine. So, I mean, I think eventually he did call you Kyle a little bit, but I mean, you'd been around for so long, like your dad, so still. Or you're Kyle Bobbins, or Kyle Dunkin' Donuts, or Kyle Diabetes, or Kyle Jones for some reason. We don't know who that guy is, but just all the names. And that's just, it is what it is. But, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it.
No, that's it.
Oh, I know what we were going to talk about. Like, the guy's opinion. Because as a single parent, as a mom, you have a different perspective, right? So I said, I always thought, or was told, my child is a blessing, and if I share my life and my child with somebody, they should see it as that, and it's like, they should, be so excited that I have this child. And I think, like, I felt like that because it was my child. And I'm like, yeah, obviously I love this person more than anything in the world. But coming from a guy's perspective where they don't have a child, they don't see it probably as like, oh, let me get to know your blessing. To them,
Yeah.
it's, in, I don't know the nicer term, but that's baggage, guys. And it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's now, like, if it feels bad to say, no, it's not a blessing. But at the time, that's not what I was thinking. It's not like, oh, great.
Yeah.
It was, and that's the whole, I don't know. That, I mean, it was definitely not, oh, great. It was just like, all right, well, we'll see how, I mean, I don't know how this is going to go, but we'll see.
But you were jumping for joy. Oh, a child.
Yeah, it's such a privilege. Not a privilege. I mean, now I can say, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But at the time, that's not how the guy is going to look at it.
No. Because
Sorry.
they don't have, I mean, they don't, it's different.
Yeah, it is.
You
it
have
is
to,
different.
you have to, like, okay, I feel like for the parent, you are in love with your baby as soon as it's born. For someone coming in, they have to get to know that kid. What if
Right.
that kid is a jerk and they're like, no, you and your kid are mean, or your kid is a brat and you're raising it terribly. Like, that's a whole
that
different
absolutely
story.
could be a thing. I feel like I've heard stories like that. Like, the kid is worse. Like, the kid's the reason it doesn't work out.
Yeah. So make sure you're raising good humans that, I don't know, aren't brats. But yeah, I did want to say that because a lot of the time you have to, all right, a lot of the time it's all about like the mom. Like, when are you going to introduce your kid? How do you feel? What are you doing? And all this stuff. But it's like, you also have to consider the fact that like this guy doesn't have kids and he's willing to take yours on and love you both, because that's not an easy task. And I mean, now obviously we love our kids and they're a blessing and a privilege and all that good stuff, and like it's amazing. But at the time, yeah, you gotta give the guy, I guess, a break. Like, okay, he's not a dad instantly. He's never been around a kid, most likely, or held one, so you got to keep that under consideration. And then if your kid is older, that's harder too, because it's like that bond or relationship is probably way harder to form than when they're like 2 and they're like, oh, I love everybody. Well, when you're 6 or 8 or 10, it's like, whoa, who are you? And if you're not the first guy or woman, I don't know, this could be for single dads too. Like, if you're not the first person in this kid's life, then they're going to be like, oh, another one. Like, and they're gonna hate you, or they're gonna, bring all that feeling from past relationships into the new one. It's a very sticky situation. So I guess the best advice is just like, don't have kids out of wedlock. I know it's like old school, but it's like probably the best option for everybody involved.
It would probably make things easier.
Like, maybe just to hold off on having kids until you're married. That's my best advice. Because then you also don't have to go through like sharing your kid with other people that you don't actually like. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, take anything. Just have kids when you're married.
Yeah, or just none. Or just coming from the guy who was like, kids, I don't think we need any more, to like, I love all the kids. I love our kids. So cute. Our kids are the cutest.
Yeah, that's one thing for I mean, that's a further down the road thing, but I never thought kids would be cute. I always made fun of her because I make fun of women in general. Oh, that baby's so cute. No, it's a baby. When it's yours, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Just for all the guys out there, it changes when you actually have one.
Yeah, and you see them and you're like, they don't all look the same. They are so
Yours
cute.
doesn't look the same as all the rest of them.
It's true. So I guess, I don't know. Hopefully this was interesting, gave you some perspective. God bless all the single parents out there, especially the ones that are dating. I don't know how you do it. I feel very blessed that I am not in the dating scene anymore. I think if you just keep your priorities straight, focus on your child. I mean, that's the most important. If you find somebody who vibes with both of you and loves you both and wants to be involved in your life, that's awesome, but that's not, I don't know, dependent on your worth. Like, you don't need that. And I feel like the more you focus on it, the more you seem to feel like it's never going to happen for you and all that stuff. So don't just live your life, focus on you and your kid and being the best you can be, and that will attract somebody to you that's going to be good and worth staying. Remember to communicate with your kids. They're not stupid. They know. I think that's healthy for them to see, especially if you end up not working out with somebody, to teach them how to go through something like that, so that when they are dating, they know what to do, and that they know a healthy way, and that they're not breaking up in a unhealthy way, or like a
Just
dramatic
ghosting people.
or ghosting, or I mean, it's okay to teach your kids how to deal in a relationship. Like, why don't we teach that? You know how many times I broke up with someone over a text, like, I can't talk to you again, bye. Like, no, we need to be like, I don't know, adults and
Communication.
mature, and
Well,
just
when
say
you're 16,
it's not working out and it's okay.
there isn't. That's not adults.
Well, I mean, you need to be working towards that, or
Yeah,
have a
would
healthy
be good.
understanding of how to deal. I mean,
Just
people
not being a
break up.
dick.
It's not, yeah, that's true. Or like not so much drama. I
Yeah,
don't know.
That's true.
Everybody just be peaceful and love everybody.
Peace and love
And bananas.
and bananas.
Maybe we'll get someone to comment bananas.
One time.
All right, so hopefully you enjoyed a little bit about dating with a kid. It's hard. It's worth it. Anything else?
I think that's all.
Okay,
It's time to work out.
it is.
All right. See you guys.